We have a nice offense. We're balanced, and our guys are going to score some runs. But confidence has a lot to do with that too. And whether you're pitching or hitting or fielding, if things aren't going real well for you, your confidence is going to be where maybe it could be. So our guys are starting to swing the bats well, and when they do, we score a lot of runs.
In this position, after we read the ball is going to be in the dirt, our main objective is to get our knees to the ground as fast as possible, and also our glove in between to block the hole between our legs. It looks something like this.
This evening, it's an instructional night brought to you by Fox Sports Net from PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You'll hear from some of the great ones in this game: Mike Matheny, Fernando Vina, and Tino Martinez. With Al Rabowski, my name is Dan McLaughlin, and we welcome you to Game 3 of this 4-game set. Something a little fun, as we always do on a Wednesday night, something a little different during the telecast. And it's an instructional night, and we're going to hear from some of the game's best as far as defensive players, in particular Matheny and Vina.
Well, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. If you're going to hear from somebody who's going to give you some expert commentary, you better have a guy with the credentials of having a gold glove, a guy that has the best of blocking the plate, a guy the best of turning a double play, and a guy that's leading the National League in fielding percentage at first base.
And that is Tino Martinez. Let's talk about the game here tonight. Andy Bennis will get the start for St. Louis, but the bats have been the big story for St. Louis.
Well, they really have. Just banging out hits, 28 runs scored. And, of course, Andy, who's pitching tonight, Andy Bennis, he was in the dugout yesterday go, hey, some guys get all the runs. Well, this offense is going to score some for Andy, too.
Well, the ERA is just over 2 since he has returned from the disabled list, and he has been a stable force in that rotation. Andy Bennis looks for victory number 2 tonight. Cards, Pirates, coming up next on Fox Sports Net. Cardinal Baseball on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste, it won't fill you up and never lets you down. Make it a Bud Light. By your local Chrysler and Jeep dealers, the official automotive sponsor of the Cardinals on Fox Sports Net. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, St. Louis's #1 choice for tires and automotive service. By Pennzoil, protection under the toughest conditions. And by Southwest Airlines, bringing people together with low fares. Beautiful night, although we do hear rain is in the forecast for this evening, about 2 hours away. Hopefully we'll get this one in as Tony La Russa and the Cardinals look to make it 3 in a row over the Pirates here tonight. Let's take a look at the Southwest Airlines starting lineup. Of course, there's the Pittsburgh Pirates lineup. Our Chrysler Jeep starter for the Pirates, who is arguably, Al, been their best starter on the year.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about it. He's 25 years of age. He's already set a career high in wins with 11. He's lost 3 of his last 4, but he did win his last start. And this guy has good stuff. That's what makes him a winner.
Let's take a look at the Cardinals lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. And in the middle of that lineup, it's been Scott Rowland anchoring this lineup. Vina, Drew, Edmonds, Pujols, then Rowland, Martinez, Renteria, Mike Matheny, and Andy Bennis. Around the horn, it's brought to you by Dobbs. A look at the Pirates defensively. They have the 5th worst fielding percentage in the National League. Young and Pokey Reese on the right side of the infield. Ramirez, a third baseman with 15 errors, 2 already in this series. Jack Wilson is the shortstop. Brian Giles is in left. Makoviak is the center fielder. And Craig Wilson to start tonight in right. Jason Kendall is behind the plate, and of course on the mound for the Pittsburgh Pirates, it's Kip Wells. 11-9, a 3.26 ERA. Cardinals, by the way, purchased the contract of 27-year-old right-hander reliever Gabe Molina from Memphis today, and they optioned Matt Duff to AAA, and Duff was not very sharp, and really no reliever was sharp with the exception of Isringhausen last night, Al, in the 9th inning.
Yeah, but it's when you can't turn a 9-1 game over to somebody to get the final 3 outs, don't throw strikes, you're not going to stay at the big league level.
7:07 with our first pitch, and it's a ball to Vina, who had the night off last night. He's hitting .272. Cardinals have won 4 straight, 5 of their last 6. Let's turn to our Auto Tire leaderboard. Strikeouts and the fewest in the National League. How about that? The Cardinals
We used to talk about it where it was the goal of this ball club, and we said, sure, they're going to keep on striking out, but Mitchell Page, you got to believe, has gotten that message across.
Those are Auto Tire leaderboard as Vina flies out to Giles to start tonight's game.
You've been popping up quite a bit of late, and Tony gave him the option of yesterday's game, and he kind of realized that maybe he needed a little bit of time off.
So an easy can of corn for Giles in left, and here's J.D. Drew. And Drew is hitting in the 2 spot. We've seen him in the 8 spot recently this week. J.D. was 2 for 4 the other night. Houston, by the way, has won today over Chicago 4-3. So they are 2.5 games out. Cincinnati is 3.5 out.
Use one of those old baseball terms that whether some people don't know about the origin.
Like us.
Well, of course you know about can of corn.
Can of corn, I have no idea, and I asked you about it, and you have no idea.
Oh, sure I do. Yeah, I do.
Oh.
Farmer John was an old pitcher back in the 20s, and every time they hit a ball in the air, he called it a can of corn because he was a corn grower. No, that's not what it is. Maybe after JD, we'll show you and give you the definitive definition, the old grocery store term, can of corn.
All right. This is an instructional night, so we'll have baseball terms, we'll have fielding examples. Here's a 2-2 to JD.
Might even mix in a little baseball, huh?
That'll be nice. A full count on Drew with 1 out and nobody on. No ducks on the pond, so to speak, Al. Yet. Is that a chuckle I heard?
Oh, Abner's done it again.
Ground ball up the middle and a base hit past Pokey Reese. They had a shift on to where they had Pokey Reese playing towards first base, and the shortstop was near the bag, so he put it on that right side of the infield and picks up a base hit. Here's our can of corn that we're talking about, Al.
All right. Well, the old grocery store where they used to have that ladder to reach up on the top shelf where they stored all the cans of corn. Well, they just take that little hook, flip off that can of corn, and fall right into your lap. Just an easy fly ball. Can of corn.
Pickle, tater, the basic food groups of baseball. Rhubarb.
That's what I like. I like the old rhubarb.
You were in some of those, weren't you?
No, I started them.
Okay. Matt Duff, by the way, up for a cup of coffee. Now, by what you're saying, apparently we have found out it originated in 1896.
Yeah, they did have grocery stores back then.
Hey, you want instructions on a Wednesday night? We'll give you instructions.
Canning was part of the process of your vegetables.
Well, Bob Prince, the legendary broadcaster for many years here in Pittsburgh, used to use that term all the time, can of corn.
He used a few other terms, too, that we can't talk about.
Up the middle, Wilson steps on the bag. He is out, but throws it near the Cardinal dugout and right at Barry Weinberg. So he gets a lead man. That was a good play by Jack Wilson.
I'd like to see that one again.
It looked like he was safe, JD.
I thought he was safe at second base. The foot race there, and JD run well. Let's take a look at it. He was playing well up the middle, so he makes the field, and maybe not. JD running here, field, then it's a foot race to the bag. Nice throw. No error because no advancement. Fielder's choice for Edmonds.
Brings in Albert Pujols. Albert, a base hit to the left side. 6 home runs here at PNC Park for Pujols, including 4 in 7 games here this season. He's more home runs here than at any other road ballpark. Was he safe or out here, Al?
Looks like that's the right call. Looks like he's out.
So 2 hits in the inning, one by Drew, the other by Pujols, and it brings in Scott Rowland.
Scott, 3 consecutive 3 RBI games. Right behind, it would be nice to get the Cardinals on lead once again.
First time a Cardinal has had such a productive 3-game span since Pujols did so last April. Little check swing, and Wells knocks it down barehanded, throws, and he got him. So the Cardinals strand a couple. Wells knocks it down and gets out of the inning. Well, the Pirates have lost 4 straight games and 6 of their last 7. Tough go for Lloyd McClendon and the Bucks. Let's take a look at his lineup. Kendall, then the shortstop Jack Wilson. This is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Giles, Ramirez, Makoviak, Young, Craig Wilson, Pokey Reese, and then the pitcher Wells. Around the horn, here's a look at the Cardinals defense. It's brought to you by Dobbs. On the right side of the infield, Tino Martinez and Fernando Vina. Part of our instructional night here on Fox Sports Net. We'll hear from those two. Scott Rowland, 3-time Gold Glover, is at third. Renteria has been sharp at short. He's at short here tonight for Tony La Russa and the Cardinals. Pujols, Edmonds, and J.D. Drew in the outfield. And Mike Matheny is also part of our instructional night. He's behind the plate, and here's Andy Benes. Mentioned that since coming off the disabled list, he has been very good for Tony La Russa and the Cardinals. And he starts things off with a strike to Jason Kendall, part of our Chrysler Jeep starting matchup.
I don't even think it's even fair to really look at that 1 and 3, because at the very least it should be 500. You need to look at is the last 3 starts for Andy. He's 1-0 with an ERA under 1. He's just been the resurrection of the splitter. He's given him another pitch. His velocity has been 88, 89. That's better. But it's throwing strikes and keeping the ball down for the most part.
Jason Kendall enters this evening's action with 998 career hits, so 2 away from 1,000. Last player to collect each his first 1,000 major league hits in a uniform here in Pittsburgh was Johnny Ray, and Barry Bonds came close. Kendall too short. Good play by Renteria. Settles, throws, and he got him. Good play by Edgar Renteria.
Well, that's another aspect for Andy, is utilizing his defense. And the Cardinals have a good interior defense. They've got a lot of speed in the outfield. Renteria is just one of many that is just solidifying. And now with, like with Rowland over at third base, Edgar doesn't really have to do anything more. Just play his position and not worry about expanding his sides.
That's a good point. Mentioned that Rowland 3 times. He has won the Gold Glove. He'll return to the vet on Friday night on our lone visit to Philadelphia. Here's Jack Wilson. The other thing that you didn't mention about Andy Benes, Al, is the fact that nothing really is that up in the zone, and the middle of the plate he stays away from the better part of it.
What I've also noticed is when he does go up, it's purposely up and out of the strike zone, getting somebody to chase it. And that's what happens if you primarily keep the ball down. You're working on both sides. He was always reluctant early in his career to pitch inside. Now he's doing that much more effectively and working on both sides of the plate. But you'll watch every now and then he'll throw a ball up and get somebody to chase it, but it's a pitch out of the strike zone.
Andy, part of our Ford Key matchup. Good pitch there. Did not go around though to Jack Wilson. So it's 2-2. We just saw the slider there. Pretty good bite for Andy Benes on this slider.
I think that he's finding that now what he's doing and pitching is he's staying on top of his pitches. So one, it keeps him lower, and then if it's a breaking ball, then it's going to have more of a downward tilt.
First base umpire there,
Mark Wegman, who I remember last year a couple times when he worked the plate, and he'll do that tomorrow night, how good he was. So I'm hoping we'll see the same thing.
Home plate umpires, Tim Cheetah, there's Wegner. Bill Welke is at second base, Rick Reed at third. Full count on the shortstop Wilson, sitting 265. Hitting over 300 his past 40+ games. Hangs in there. There was some concern with Andy Benes in his last start. And that was against the New York Mets. Remember, on a play that he was running towards first and then kind of buckled his knee a little bit, and then he was running on another play right after that from first to second, and was caught in between of whether didn't know whether to slide or what to do. As that is hit to Pujols in left, and he was caught in no man's land, and you could see his knee was buckling a bit, and Cardinals didn't want to risk anything else. He was probably going only to go maybe one more inning, so they elected to err on the side of caution, and that's what they did with Andy Venice.
Yeah, it's you know, Andy, ball got away at first, and he started to make a bluff move, and the knee kind of buckled a little bit, but he was fine. Then when he was going to second, as you said, he caught in between, started to think he was about 10 years younger and started to slide, and then he goes, no, that wouldn't be a good idea, and so he almost just did a flying block, roll block into the middle infielder.
Giles pops it up, but out of play. Averaging over 30 home runs since he arrived here in Pittsburgh. He's got 30 on the season. Hit number 30 off of Steve Klein the other night.
That was the first home run that Klein has allowed to a left-handed batter since he's joined the Cardinals. This is a legitimate threat, but you know, he's been walking an awful lot of late. You aren't going to let him beat you.
Not much protection behind him, and Ramirez hitting .232.
And this is Ramirez's best month in his career, and he's having a good month of August. So you got to be careful. A lot of time. Looks like Giles calling timeout.
Cardinals bats have come alive since Rolen came alive, and in particular, you look at what Pujols has been able to do the last 4 or 5 games. Well, he's got some protection behind him.
I think 8 of the 13 position players the Cardinals have hit over 300 in this ballpark. You already talked about Pujols has more home runs than any visiting player here at PNC Park in its 2 years of existence.
2-2 the count on Giles. Figure this would be the perfect ballpark for him. A short porch in right, just 320 down that right field line. Full count. There's Mike Matheny blocking the plate, and of course blocking balls behind the plate. He's going to talk about that in our instructional night.
Well, there's nobody better to talk about blocking the balls, and you see what he does. He will demonstrate that and talk about it, and he does it better than anybody.
Giles, a high fly ball into right field. Drew camps under it. A can of corn, and he's got it. No score. What's on Tap is brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste, it won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light. Our final game tomorrow from Pittsburgh will come your way on WB11 and the Cardinals television network tomorrow at 6. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from Philadelphia. Friday night's game 5:30 with Cardinals tonight. Sunday will be on WB11, and the game of the week on Fox Baseball Saturday. KTVI back home. Here's Tino Martinez. Martinez, Renteria, and Mike Matheny for the Cardinals. No score. We're just underway. Wednesday night. Every Wednesday we of course have virtual manager. Vote now at foxsports.com on Lycos. What is the most exciting play in baseball? Inside the park home run, a triple, or a triple play? Almost saw that inside the park home run last night with Scott Rowland. Saw a triple play at Florida earlier this season. All personal preference, of course, Al.
Yeah, I think so. Kip Wells has lost 7 of his last 10 decisions after an 8-2 start.
Martinez and to center field. That's going to drop in front of Makoviak, and it's a base hit to start the second for Tino.
8-game hitting streak for Tino.
He was out of the lineup last night against the lefty Jimmy Anderson, and the night before he had a single and a home run.
Makoviak comes charging in here, does a nice job, but you can see he does trap it. And good hustle by Bill Welke, the second base umpire, to get a good look at that one. Our cameraman didn't need any extra help. They can shoot that with the best of them. Nice going, guys.
Here's Renteria hitting .313 on the season. We've seen him in that number 2 spot in the order a couple of times in the last week. Drops back down here this evening. Check on Tino at first. This has been one of the hottest bats in all of the National League. He's hitting .378 since the All-Star break. Hit .404 in the month of July. Of course, earlier this year he picked up hit number 1,000 in his career. We forget he just turned 27. High fly ball the opposite way. That ball is gone. Home run, Renteria. And it's 2-0 St. Louis. They grab the lead again here tonight. He drives in Tino Martinez. Home run number 8. RBIs 54 and 55 for the Cardinals shortstop.
Well, he has the highest batting average amongst National League shortstops. That's his 8th home run, and now he has the most RBIs. Kip Wells likes to throw a lot of pitches on the outer half to right-handers, inner half to the left-handed batters. And we've seen Renteria so good this year going to the opposite field. You just had a feeling that he was going to have a pitch tonight that he could drive, and he does so.
Here's Mike Matheny. He looks at a strike after a 3-hit performance last night.
Ball was up, and he hits a line drive out in the right field. That is the 15th home run that Wells has allowed.
0-2. That caught the corner. 39 and 16 when scoring first, and the Cardinals have done so here tonight.
Cardinals are pretty good at coming from behind too, so but I think it's important the way they have beaten the Pirates the first 2 games to get ahead.
Andy Bennis is on deck. Kip Wells gave up home run number 600 in his last start to Barry Bonds. Certainly not a fan favorite here in Pittsburgh anymore. We're actually going to see a guy get bloodied in the stands going for that baseball at Pac Bell Park. We'll see that a little later in the show. We've got all kinds of things in this fine program tonight. Wilson, strong throw, but then throws it away. And Matheny's going to stay at first base with Kendall hustling down the line. Now Jack Wilson, probably all he needed to do was settle and throw, but tried to make it a little more extra on that throw and threw it away. This Thursday it's the Best Damn Sports Show period, and he's back. If you missed it, Iron Mike Tyson. He'll come back on a tell-all interview. 8 and 11, the Best Damn Sports Show period tomorrow night. Iron Mike Tyson in studio.
Mike Matheny had 3 hits last night. Gets the infield single here tonight, as the Cardinals are already banged out 5 hits in 1+ inning.
Andy Bennis bunts it off the plate. Wells only play. DePoke Reese covering at first base. So a sacrifice for Andy Bennis. And that's his first sacrifice on the season. Brings in Vigna. Look at the graphic, Al. Even the guys in the truck are getting into this.
Boy, they're getting into this.
The can of corn. One duck on the pond.
Or do you think they're hungry?
No. It's instructional night. They're sticking to it.
You know, they are. Sometimes some of these food groups do contribute to alcoholic beverages. So some of those guys in the truck may, you know, be being creative tonight.
Is there anything to do with barley in the game of baseball? We'll make something up.
How about rice? You know, a little sake.
2-0 on Fernando Vigna.
Potato, vodka.
Mm-hmm. Two balls and a strike on Vigna.
You can talk to Steve Klein about moonshine.
Nicely done. Two and two the count. Cardinals have grabbed the lead. They have 5 hits already. We're just in the second. It's 2-0. Home run by Renteria.
Woody Williams, and once again, he threw to hitters today. And that's a first big step for his coming back to the active roster.
Simulated game for Woody here today. Vigna back to Wells. He's 0 for 2. It'll be up to J.D. Drew. Well, Woody Williams, we hope to see him in part of a doubleheader late August against Cincinnati, but he threw to about 4 or 5 hitters, and one of those hitters actually, Al, as you saw the clock at 3:57. Our guys in the truck were here working diligently and working very hard prior to tonight's telecast. One of the things that Woody did, he threw against Tony La Russa. He stepped into the box, took some hacks against Woody.
He was just trying to build up Woody's confidence.
Except he said he got a base hit.
Yeah, there was no defense out there.
He said it was a bullet in the hole, but he also told Woody he'd appreciate it if he helped him out a little bit. That's going to help out here tonight. Drew with an RBI. It's bobbled out in center, and it's 3-0.
Nice going, J.D. His 44th RBI. 2 for 2 night. And J.D. now a 3-game hitting streak. He's 4 for 6 in the series and 5 for 9 in his 3-game hitting streak.
Drives in Matheny. First 3 men in this inning to come to the plate. All have been brought in. Martinez, Renteria, now Matheny, and it's 3-0.
Every position player in the lineup today had at least a 2-game hitting streak coming into the game.
I saw that. Edmonds hit into the fielder's choice and a nice play by the shortstop Wilson in the top of the first.
Jimmy with his 0 for 1 is now 6 for 11 in this series. Boy, the middle of the order has done some damage. Really from 2 through 6. And everybody.
Arizona and Cincinnati scoreless first inning. Tailing action on that fastball and a strike. 0-1 on Edmonds. Hard to believe that this lineup during that 7-game losing streak, Al, if you've watched them the last few nights, you'd say this is impossible to do with this kind of lineup. They only hit .201. They were outscored 45-14.
Well, good pitching will still stop all lineups.
Edmonds to Wilson. Across the diamond over to Young. And the Cardinals are done here in the second. They strand a man. They have left 3, but played 3. This day in baseball history back in 1919 is brought to you by Schnucks. The Dodgers and Cubs split a doubleheader. In Game 1, the Cubs blanked Brooklyn 2-0 in 1 hour and 10 minutes. And in Game 2, the Dodgers shut out the Cubs 1-0, an hour and 7 minutes. Combined, you wouldn't have a regular season game in 2002 like that, Al. We made a game last night that was 9-1 heading into the 9th, almost last 3 hours.
A 220 game to almost 3 hours.
Right. Bottom of the second. Andy Bennis and the Cardinals with a lead of 3-0. Here's Ramirez, the cleanup man. Then Makoviak and Kevin Young. It's our instructional night here on Fox Sports Net. We'll be hearing from Mike Matheny and Tino Martinez and Fernando Vigna. Matter of fact, we're going to hear from Mike in just a moment after we see what Ramirez does. We'll be talking about one of the things that he does best, and that's blocking balls behind the plate. Foul ball, and it's 1-2. On the season, Andy Bennis 1-3. He's beaten the Pirates in his career 11 times and has deserved, as Al said, a better fate his last 2 starts, in particular the start on a Sunday night against Atlanta. That's pulled foul.
Well, Ramirez starting to pick things up this month. His career average is 322 during the month of August, and he's hitting 349 this year. 15 hits in his last 38 at bats.
Pulls an outside delivery right to Renteria. One away. We talk about Mike Matheny and what he does best. Let's hear from his instructional tutelage behind the plate.
Today we're going to talk about the mechanics of blocking balls in the dirt. With catching, just like any other position, the first thing you need to have is a strong stance. So the way I like to teach is to get in an athletic position, like you're playing defense in basketball or playing defense in football. Get in a position where you can react. From here, we just basically sit down. This gives us the ability to move no matter where the ball is thrown. Main concern with catching always is this bare hand. When I'm up in my position, I want this bare hand to be in a fist and behind my glove. In this position, after we read the ball, it's going to be in the dirt. Our main objective is to get our knees to the ground as fast as possible, and also our glove in between to block the hole between our legs. It looks something like this.
Mike Matheny, and very nicely done by Mike to explain how to do that. That's just one facet of just how good he is behind the plate. As we see Makoviak, he threw out 45% of attempted base stealers. Only 4 errors on 121 games last year. Gold Glover 2 years ago. You think about it, only 55 runners attempted to steal against Mike last year.
Yeah, that's part of it. You know, the reputation of being such a good thrower that they don't even attempt to steal anymore. And you know how he works about his trade. You watch him in between innings when the pitcher's throwing the ball. If they throw in the dirt, he'll block it just like that with, you know, in warm-up tosses.
Isn't that something to do that in warm-ups, Al? Do you ever have a catcher do that with you?
Heck no. You know, I mean, most of them get out of the way.
Sure.
You know, they didn't know where I was going. But you know, he works at it all the time.
Right down the middle. Makoviak knew it. A strikeout for Andy Bennis, and there's 2 away. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, hopefully you'll see Mike Matheny behind that plate as the Cardinals take on Jimmy Rollins and the Phillies. It all begins this weekend. Check local listings for the start time in your area. Here's Kevin Young and a fastball and a strike. Matheny also picked off 5 runners last year. Remember the first series of the season in Colorado? Got 2 of the 5, I think, in that series.
2 might have been the first game.
Yeah.
That could help a pitcher, can it?
Yes. Young with 132 home runs in his Pirates career, ranking him 10th on their all-time list.
And he's getting in on some of these hitters, getting the called strike there. Then they won't dive across the plate, but doing a good job keeping the ball down.
2-2. One strikeout tonight for Bennis. That was Makoviak, who struck out 5 times already in this series. Young gets underneath this one. Albert Pujols camps under it. He's got it. Good start here for Bennis. 6 up and 6 down. We move to the 3rd. Pujols, Roland, and Tino coming up. Renteria and J.D. Drew have the RBIs, and the Cardinals lead it by the score of 3-0. And Cardinal fans, the Redbirds have added another great promotion for this season. August 20th, mark it down, the Cardinals will give away a special edition Heartland collectible statue of Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith to the first 30,000 fans with a paid admission. It's a 7-10 game next week against the Pirates. The McDonald's Go Crazy Folks statue features Ozzie in his memorable dash around the bases with his fist clenched high in the air. So we hope you take advantage of a great collectible Ozzie Smith statue. 421-3060. That means virtual manager, Al. That chime. What is the most exciting play in the game of baseball? Inside the park home run, a triple, or a triple play? And you tell us. the fans do a triple play by logging on to foxsports.com.
I have to say it's the rarest of the three.
I'm partial to the inside the park home run.
You know, like you said, it's up to everybody's discretion, and I would say I think I agree with you.
High fly ball down the right field line, slicing foul. The Pirates got beat up last night, but they had some great defensive plays, whether it be Jack Wilson on a couple of plays, the shot hit back to Mike Lincoln off the bat of Edmonds, Armando Rios, a diving play. One thing that you can say about Lloyd McClendon, he has gotten these guys at least to perform and play hard. Results haven't been all that great. Better than a year ago, 100 losses last season, but they do play hard. Out number one.
The assessment of the ball club and their general manager, Dave Littlefield, was that they needed to improve their defense and their pitching staff. Kipwell, Josh Fogg, big part of improving the pitching staff, and Pokey Reese, and maybe the maturity of Jack Wilson somewhat. There's the new GM, first-year general manager for the Pirates, Dave Littlefield. But they realize they still have some work to do. They're still saddled by some long-term contracts.
Scott Rowland, 0 for 1 tonight. A check swing, hit it back to Wells his first time. In the hole, 0-2. It was Wells, Fogg, and Sean Lowe, who has since been sent down to AAA for the Pirates. Those three have combined to go 26-18. Now, to get those three, they gave up Todd Ritchie, who had been one of the better starters the last couple of seasons here in Pittsburgh. And Ritchie, for the White Sox this year, is 10 games under 500. He's 5-15.
They got younger with the pitchers, and they also saved enough money to re-sign Mike Williams, their closer.
And he's been one of the best.
He was an all-star this year and has set the record. Hey, there's Mark O'Neill. He wanted to pass along happy birthday wishes to his wife Stephanie. I tried to get her age out of him, and he did say it's over 21.
All right.
So
Mark,
happy
of course,
birthday, Stephanie.
Is pretty much like a rehab coordinator on the trip.
Yep. That's his job, and it's usually a good sign when he's with the ball club, because it means things aren't pretty healthy. That hit rolling in the hand.
Seems to be all right. May not have gotten his hand here. Let's see. It might have been of his forearm or his elbow.
Started to stride into it. Yeah, I guess the back elbow there, but he's okay.
We're talking about Mike Williams. Now the closer here in Pittsburgh tied the club record with his 34th save of the season last Friday. Jim Gott established that record in 1988. He has saved over 100 games here in Pittsburgh. So if you can get to the ninth of the lead, more times than not, the Pirates are going to win, but just getting to that point. There's Tino Martinez.
How many ways are there to get on base?
Let's see. Hit by pitch. We just saw that. Walk.
Just guess.
Single.
Oh, guess.
I don't want to guess. I'm trying to do the math in my head.
Yeah, but we're going to graphically show you later, so.
I'll say 6.
You're wrong.
How many are there?
7.
Oh. Let's see if this will back your 7, Al.
Which one do you think you missed? Catcher's interference?
Yes. Hit, walk, air, hit by pitch, catcher's interference, drop third strike, fielder's choice.
I don't want anybody now to sit there and say there's another one, because we aren't going to worry about.
It's an instructional night, though, Al.
Yeah.
Rolling at first with 1 out, 3 balls and a strike on Tino Martinez. A ball, and Roland was running anyway.
Hey, there's another one. A walk.
Right. That was there.
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, I'm just showing you.
Starting to scare me here, Al.
Oh, just started?
Just as well.
Tonight.
Yes.
Scared you about, what time was it? 7 o'clock in the morning when I called you too.
Yes, she did. Second inning, Renteria, a home run to the opposite field. Now with 55 RBIs and 8 homers on the year. Guys in the truck are coming up with every conceivable way to get on base.
You see, and that's what I said. Don't be putting these graphics up and then come up with, well, where's the pinch runner?
Renteria shoots it up the middle. Rolen being waved home. Here comes a throw. Rolen is safe. Renteria, 3 RBIs on the night, and he moves up on the play. It's second and third. 1 out. 7 hits on the night. Some boos for the Pirates, and it's 4-0.
Well, there you go. You see Cardinals having a little fun, and Renteria with that good base running sees the throw come home, goes and puts himself in scoring position. Now there's solid base hit up the middle. Ball out away from him. Makoviak, who is injured and injured himself, his oblique muscle, throwing, trying to make the miraculous throw, and it just continues the merry-go-round, putting another runner in scoring position.
So Rolen scores the 4th run on the night. There's Mark O'Neill making sure that Rolen was okay after being hit by the pitch on his elbow. Would have been his throwing elbow. And how about Renteria? 3 RBIs here tonight. Hey, Cardinal fans, if you would like to win Cardinals tickets and participate in the Southwest Airlines Family of the Game promotion during a Cardinals home game, here's your chance. Send your name, address, and phone number to Southwest Airlines Family of the Game. P.O. Box 771192, St. Louis, Missouri 63177. And good luck from Southwest Airlines. Matheny has singled and scored here tonight. Remember, the Cardinals had 18 hits, a season high last night, already with 7 this evening. Infield is drawn in. Outfield shades Matheny to the opposite way, and it's pulled foul. Mike has hit safely in 12 of his past 16 games. .53-16 are the Cardinals when scoring 3 or more runs. No balls and a strike on Mike Matheny. Infield in. 0-2 with Andy Bennis on deck. Pirates have dropped 4 straight. Cardinals have been one of the hotter teams now in the last week or so. 2 of 3 over the Mets this weekend at Busch, and have taken the first 2 of this series against Pittsburgh.
The Mets are history now.
Yep.
Alfonso on the disabled list. Alomar hurt, and now Piazza's hurt.
I saw that.
So they were 8 games out on the wild card and got a leapfrog over 6 teams. Doesn't look good.
You wonder now if that's going to be it for Bobby Valentine at the end of this season.
There was some talk about that his job has been in jeopardy the last couple of years. And
high payroll, and they revamped the offense, and it didn't pay any dividends. 2-2.
Ball getting away from Kip Wells. A couple of those balls up there would be easy fly balls. Touched on it. You know, the Pirates, if you give them a lead, they've got some Sauerbeck, good left-hander, and Mike Williams, their closer to close out games, but it's key to get to them early.
The 2-2 is driven into deep left field. Giles going back on the run near the track and makes a basket catch. And tagging up Tino Martinez, and the Cardinals lead it 5-0. Remember that Kip Wells gave up number 600 to Bonds, and let's take a look And how it happened into deep center field. Bonds at Pac Bell Park watching it sail into the seats. And the fan there would just be bloodied, literally bloodied, coming away with home run ball number 600 off the bat of Barry Bonds.
That's why it was, when it was Mark McGwire's turn, it was nice to see Tim Forneris fielded the ball, where he did, back behind a wall where the grounds crew positioned himself that nobody could get hurt. I remember when we were in Florida in a fight for one of the home runs earlier that year, that was out in center field, and guys crashing into the tarp. And of course, you normally think with Bonds it's going to be out in McCovey Cove,
right?
So a couple boats might get injured.
Bennis strikes out 2 on the night for Kip Wells, but the Cardinals add to their lead. They score 3 in the second. Now 2 here at the top of the third. It's 5-0. Hey kids, the Cardinals have just added a great new promotion, and just in time for school. It's the Cardinals SBC Back to School Mousepad Night. It'll be Friday, August 23rd. It's coming up. All kids 15 and under with a paid admission receive a specially designed Cardinals mousepad courtesy of SBC Communications. Jim Jackson, the radio engineer for the St. Louis Cardinals and the radio network. Apparently a mousepad collector besides Genius.
Well, we knew about the Genius. We've just heard about the wonderful mousepad collection. I've heard it's reached upwards to 250,000 different mouse pads.
Oh, it's off the charts.
Yeah, I mean, it's so extensive.
Joel Myers was telling me just off the charts the other day. Of course, Joel working with Mike Shannon this year on the Cardinals radio side. Here's Craig Wilson. Hitting .277 on the year. Saw him behind the plate at the end of last night's game. He also plays right field and first base. Was one of their top pinch hitters last season.
He, like the Pirates, like the Cardinals, carry basically 3 catchers, but Wilson gets a lot of playing time in the outfield like Morero. Keith Osick, I think, has only made 3 starts in the second half as their 3rd catcher.
We're actually going to see that fan, by the way, that was lucky enough, I guess,
to get bloodied.
Yeah, to get bloodied and
get the ball.
Number 600. Kip Wells was saying after the game, we talked about this the other night, how he wanted a memento from Bonds, whether it be a jersey, a bat, a ball, but something to commemorate giving up number 600.
Well, Aaron hit .715. Al Downing was the pitcher, and Huey Kuhn almost wanted to have an investigation to see if he grooved the pitch. Now that's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. Now watch how long it takes this fan to come up with the home run ball. We'll start a clock on this poor fan, just being trampled for number 600.
At least one guy trying to keep a little calm, trying to get people back, but
he's still not up.
There's a rope.
Pulled foul off the bat of Wilson. Valley's still not up.
Where's our clock? Where's the security? I guess these guys coming in are the security, but
there was undercover security in the stands, so maybe that's who those folks are.
Yeah, but I mean,
that poor guy, was it worth it?
Yeah.
1 minute and 6 seconds. Look at that. For a home run ball, are you kidding me?
That one's worth a little money.
Who's the cartoon guy that buys them all? You know what I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about, but his investment's been going like the stock market.
Right. So he's out. That was unbelievable watching that. Here's Pokey Reese. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, we must be hitting pretty good. Must be scoring some runs. Must be having a little more fun and winning.
2 balls and no strikes. 89 there from Bennis upstairs, and it's 3-0. Now it is instructional night, Al. Do you have a term for this?
Bubblehead.
Bubblehead.
Not bobble, bubble.
Bubblehead. Very
Bubblehead.
nice.
So one of the promotions for the Pirates is the Parrot Bubble Belly.
Bubble belly.
Bubble Belly.
And what is that?
Well, it's like a bobblehead, but it's a bobble belly for the Parrot.
Do you have one of these?
No, I just saw it. They're advertising as one of the upcoming promotions. Guaranteed to get 12,000 people.
Walk to Pokey Reese, and now it's first and second. Matheny's going to talk it over with Andy Bennis. You know, Lloyd McClendon, the manager of the Pirates, was a teammate of Barry Bonds back in 1986 when he broke into the major leagues. And Barry Bonds, of course, hit number 600 on the night that he broke in, the anniversary of his breaking into the major leagues. And that night he was a leadoff man, and I would guess probably at least 50 pounds lighter. People are going to forget, probably, Al, the fact that Bonds, his first 10 years of his career, was one of the best defensive players in the game. Gold Glove winner.
Yes, he was, and he's still a good defensive player, but he could intimidate offensive players with his positioning out in left field.
Sure.
He had fun, you know, messing with guys' heads, playing them very shallow, defying them to hit a ball over his head or close to the left field line.
7 seasons here in Pittsburgh for Bonds, 17 overall. And out of those 600 home runs, he hit 176 while with the Pirates. Poor attempt there by Wells, and it's 0-2.
There's little things that a starting pitcher can help himself and probably win a game or two over the course of the year by just sacrificing, doing little things with swinging the bat to keep yourself in a game long enough. You know, the way he's attempting here, you wonder later on in the game, if a closer one, would he be able to stay in it?
The little things right there. We saw that the other night with Matheny. Remember, he couldn't get a bunt down against the Mets. Cost the Cardinals, and Wells can't help himself, and that's out number 1. That's exactly what Bennis needed.
Well, you know, Mike Matheny is fundamentally very sound, and on occasion guys are not going to get things down, but there's no excuse for a pitcher. What that is one of the only things that he needs to work on, not to have better fundamentals and give himself a better opportunity.
Here's Kendall, 2 hits away from 1,000 in his career. Mention how some of these Pirates are locked into some long-term deals. Here's one of them, Jason Kendall. Year 2 of a $60 million contract.
Well, they feel that
he might be shipped away during the offseason.
Yeah, but you know, you can understand why they give him the contract to try and lock him up along with Giles. But it does, you know, doesn't have a lot of power, but they have him in the leadoff spot.
Up the middle, Vina can't come up with it. It's into center field. Edmonds comes up throwing. Cut off by Tino Martinez. Wilson scores. Pirates on the board. It's 5-1. And he's 1 hit away from 1,000.
999th career hit, 34 RBIs on the year, 118 hits on the season here. Fights the pitch off inside, muscles it back up the middle, and just goes neat. You see Matheny, and look at that terrible slide. You talk about trying to hurt yourself. Mike Matheny blocked the lane, but then when the throw was cut off, he moved his left foot, giving him a clear shot to make a slide, and then it's kind of a roll block and a good way to get hurt.
So the walk to start the inning comes back to haunt Bennis as Wilson scores. Pokey Reese was the other walk in the inning. He's at second.
Here, see, look, he's caught in between. Anytime you aren't sure where you're going to go in, run into the catcher, how you're going to slide, and then at the last second you try to change direction, you're just asking for an injury.
Jack Wilson is 0 for 1. He lined out his first time up to left.
I've thought of George Kissel twice this inning. You know, on an instructional night, George Kissel could show people how to bunt, or George Kissel could show people how to slide.
We miss George, don't we, on the road?
Absolutely. George was delightful and a great source of information, sounding board to go to.
One of the nice things that Fernando Vina was able to do is call up Rawlings and Ted Sizemore and get a duplicate of his Gold Glove and sent it to George Kissel as a thank you. All the time and effort that he helps out with Vina at home, and also for the last few years on the road when he was traveling with the club.
Very, very nice gesture from a nice guy.
2 balls and a strike on the Pirates shortstop. That catches the corner. Kissel has been in this organization for over 60 years. 60 years.
Got a double play ball now.
That's something that Fernando Vina is going to talk about with an instructional night, how to turn it at second. Ooh, that didn't miss by much. Full count.
No, Andy retired the first 6 batters of this game. He ran into trouble here with a couple walks, and now his lone base hit allowed. It just seemed like he was out of sync a little bit. You know, not pitching with the same amount of confidence or getting ahead of hitters like he had been.
Time called by Matheny. Bennis has walked 2 here in this inning. To start the inning to Wilson and Reese, and Wilson came around on the base hit by Kendall. Three 2 is out of play. Is there a rain delay between Arizona and Cincinnati? There has to be. No score, and showing it in the first inning.
Maybe the operators are sleeping.
Could be that, Al.
Could be that.
Although they have updated every other game.
No, the one assigned to that is sleeping.
Okay. Into center. Edmonds there. Pokey Reese back to second. Kendall to first. There's 2 outs. And Brian Giles could pull the Pirates right back into this game with 1 swing of the bat.
Of course, as long as Arizona's still batting, we really don't care.
No. Houston over Chicago today, 4-3 at Wrigley.
And just sometimes in a game like this, where, you know, Andy bears down against the guys he has to, but came into this 3rd inning, retiring the first 6 in a row, and you think, okay, now I've got an easy inning, 7th, 8th, and 9th. You don't go out with the same intensity, and you walk the first 2 men.
First pitch to Giles, a strike. Challenged him with an 87-mile-an-hour fastball. Giles took a fastball for a strike at his first at bat.
Some hitters are going to do that frequently. Even Ted Simmons was a guy that he would almost stand up there in the batter's box with a bat on his shoulder with no desire to swing at all. And maybe once out of every 25 times he'd try to get that pitcher just to groove one, and he'd be ready for that one. But
Todd Zeile was like that as well.
A little bit.
Edmonds sometimes.
You know, some guys have the confidence to hit deeper in the count. You could understand Giles a little bit because he's so used to being pitched around of late.
He's ahead here with 2 balls and a strike.
320 against right-handed pitchers and over 300 with runners in scoring position.
And he rips it towards Tino Martinez. Good play on the backhand. And Giles strands too, but the Pirates get on the board. It's 5-1 St. Louis. Part of the order coming up. Cardinals up 5-1. We turn to our Aflac trivia question. Sammy Sosa leads the majors with 40 home runs. Who is the last player to lead the major league with less than 40 for the year? You'd probably have to go back close to 10 years to figure that one out. Tino Martinez, he is part of our instructional night. Made a good play to just end that last inning. He talks about playing first base.
Basically what I try to do to teach my son and whoever else kids I'm trying to teach play the infield is the first thing is to be balanced and ready before the ball is hit. Get in front of the ball if you can. If it's ball to your left or right, to always move to your left or right under control and try to get in front of the ball and make the play. That's the first and foremost thing I try to teach them unless it's a tough play.
Just saw his son TJ on the backhand there, and that's the kind of play that Tino Martinez just made off the bat of Brian Giles. As Benia lines one right back up the middle. Hit number 8 tonight for the Cardinals. Here's the play that we're talking about with Tino Martinez on a backhand as Giles stranded 2.
All right, you see the ball was hit sharply, and he really didn't feel like he had the ability to get in front of it. But you got that runner screening him there, but he does a nice backhand just like his son did, and comes up with a nifty play to end that inning. And here we go with Vena's first hit of the night, bringing up JD, who's 2 for 2.
JD has put one into the Allegheny before. Did that a year ago. He hit one off the Pepsi bottle in right field here at PNC Park.
Just missed his time to get the Majestic.
Just sailing on by.
Yes, sailed on by.
There's a line shot into right center field. Makoviak comes up with it. And Benia has to hurry back. And he is doubled off. Bad base running there by Benia. He's doubled off of first base. Where was he going? Play in front of him. And there's 2 down.
I just don't think that he was hustling coming back. He didn't think Makoviak. He just sees the ball's being caught and then just kind of glides back. Then he realized he had to get back quickly. And I don't think he thought Makoviak had that kind of throwing arm.
Pretty strong throw.
It was a good strong throw, and there's no excuse for being doubled up on that one.
So bad play by Benia. Double play, nobody on, 2 outs, and here's Edmonds. Check swing, he went around. Vote now at foxsports.com on Lycos, our virtual manager. What is the most important aspect of the game? Fundamentals, pitching, or hitting? Good question there for our fans at home for foxsports.com. I'll go with pitching, although fundamentals would be right there with it.
Well, you can't win. You can't win with just one of them. You know, you need at least 2 of them, and you really need all 3 of them.
On the outfield grass, there's Wilson.
It's for the fans, so we'll find out what they have to say.
Instructional Wednesday, virtual manager, all on Fox Sports Net. This portion of Cardinal baseball on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Auto Tire. For the very best in tires and service, you ought to go to Auto Tire. By Aflac, ask about it at work. And by Advance Auto Parts, the best part is our people. The Majestic, as Al was telling us about last inning, sailing on by here in Pittsburgh on the Allegheny, as we welcome you back to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in PNC Park. Our Aflac trivia question here tonight. Sammy Sosa of the Cubs leads the majors with 40 home runs. Who was the last player to lead the major leagues with less than 40 for the year? His teammate this season, the first baseman of the Cubs, Fred McGriff, with 35 home runs in 1992. So a decade ago, last time that we saw less than 40. 35 from the crime dog, Fred McGriff.
And we can get our crack crew to look up Carl Yastrzemski's Triple Crown year and see how small those numbers are by comparison to the offensive numbers of today.
Put an asterisk by some of the stuff that's happened from about 95, 96 on.
And what would that asterisk be?
Next to home runs and next to,
well, why?
Well,
because of what?
Juice ball.
There's no juice ball. Rollins says so.
Oh, you're going back to because you're on the payroll with them. That's why you're doing this again. Don't get me into this. You're on that Rawlings payroll.
Really?
The Cubs are going to have a different look next year. McGriff has an $8 million option that they're probably not going to pick up. Remember, Aesop Choi is one of their highly touted prospects, first baseman, that was supposed to be following Mark Grace. So he may be there next year. And then you've got Bellhorn, who has been a pleasant surprise. Bellhorn's been very good. They just released Lionel DeShields. Gonzalez, the shortstop, has been out last few weeks, but he'll be back next year. And then Bill Miller on their infield is a free agent.
They're going to have to revamp their bullpen.
Al Fonseca is going to lose his closer's job after what's transpired with him the last week or so. Tom Gordon. DeCero is getting up there. Farnsworth, though, is going to be one of their top arms out of the bullpen.
Yeah, but he hasn't. He's had a terrible year.
That's ripped towards Tino Martinez. He dives, flips to Bettis, and they got him. What a play by Tino.
Got Andy getting over there to cover. That's a nice play at both ends.
2 backhands tonight from Tino Martinez. This is what he said. He said he teaches getting in front of the ball at all times, but on those kind of plays you do whatever you can. And he was working with his son on a similar play. TJ Martinez. And the one on the right there with Tino Martinez is the one that we saw last inning to end it with Giles.
And Tino is leading the National League in fielding percentages at first baseman. A couple nifty plays by him tonight.
He only has 2 errors on the year. Chance at a Gold Glove this year.
.998 fielding percentage.
One of the best plays we've seen him make this season. Young gets underneath this one, pretty well hit. Pujols backing up near the track, has room, and he's got it. We played 4, and the Cardinals lead it by 4 runs. It's 5-1 St. Louis. It's a grand slam for Taurus, $3,000 cash back or 0% APR financing for 60 months to qualified buyers. Ford in your quality Ford stores. Your home run to summer fun. It's been a good start out for Andy Bennis so far.
Well, it sure has. Just that one little hiccup at the 3rd inning where he walked the first 2 guys and allowed his only hit of the night, scoring their run, but he's gotten some nice run support from his teammates.
His only hiccup was Jason Kendall with an RBI base hit.
I wonder if that term made it on our list.
Hiccup.
Hiccup.
We'll find out, I'm sure. Pujols struck out his last time up. Cardinals lead this one 5-1. Albert with a base hit as well. He's 1 for 2. Showing Tino Martinez out with his son TJ, and Tino said one of the great things about coming over to St. Louis that he didn't have the chance to do with the Yankees was Tony La Russa is very open to letting a lot of the boys and the sons of the major leaguers come to the ballpark and take part in instructions and ground balls and BP and being around the clubhouse. Pretty neat thing for a young man to go through.
Well, it is, and as long as and they do it in such a respectful fashion that it's not a distraction.
Albert into right center field. Makoviak is on the run, but making the play, it's Wilson, the right fielder. No communication between those two, and you could see that from where we are at, because Makoviak just kept running hard and Wilson never called him off.
Well, there's ways to do things and on winning clubs, and there's other ways to kind of just get by. See Makoviak yelling. He's not that experienced as a center fielder. It obviously was a much easier play for the right fielder, but that center fielder is the guy that takes charge, and the corners respect it.
Scott Rowland hit by a pitch and scored. Third inning, and grounded back to the pitcher on a check swing in the first. 0 for 1. Talking about those youngsters doing it with respect. One guy that has been able to have that luxury growing up was Eduardo Perez, so he learned from his father and many of the great players from that big red machine in Cincinnati. And one day, Fernando Vina's son, who was wearing a Cardinal uniform, was laying on the ground, and Eduardo rather sternly said, "Don't do that. You have to get up. You can't be laying on the ground with that uniform on." And Jordan Vina, Fernando's son, thought he was joking, and he wasn't, and he pulled him aside, and they had a heart-to-heart for about 5 to 10 minutes, and he explained why when you wear that uniform it's important. You walk out on that field, you treat it with respect.
Not only that, but just things that you just don't do on a field, and
right.
And no matter what age, you know, you've got to start with the basics and learn to play the game properly.
Rowland shoots this one into left center field. That gets down. It's going to go to the wall, and Scott is digging for 2, and he'll stop right there on a 2-2 delivery with 1 out. Rowland has himself a double. Second time he's been aboard tonight, and it's part of our Nextel Direct Connect hit. Scott Rowland with a double, and he is just really lighting it up at the plate, Al.
Or you just see just the way he stands the batter's box. He gets a strike that he can handle, and when he swings the bat, he makes contact. That ball jumps off, and of course he's jumping out of that batter's box and hustling all the way for the extra base hit.
Cardinals with 9 hits here tonight. Here's Tino Martinez.
Cardinal fans are going to really enjoy watching Scott.
Tino with a base hit and a walk. He's been on base twice, also scored a run, extended his hit streak to 8 games.
Every position player has a hit except for Edmonds tonight.
So TJ Martinez along with Jordan Vina and Woody Williams' son all coming out to the ballpark early.
Drew Bennis is one of the old guys.
Yeah. 2-0 on Tino.
You know, the interesting thing is I don't remember. I remember a lot of the Reds players' sons, you know, not in uniform. I remember them around the ballpark, but not in uniform.
Eduardo was saying that if they lost, then they couldn't go into the clubhouse and they had to stay away. But if they won, which was a lot, they had a chance to go in there. Did you have a manager or at least teammates that allowed their sons to come around?
Whitey was pretty good at allowing kids. I remember Brian McRae was always taking balls in center field.
Sure. This Thursday, it's the Best Damn Sports Show period, and he's back. We're talking about Mike Tyson. You don't want to miss it when he makes his return. The Best Damn Sports Show period, Thursday night. Mike Tyson will be on the program here on Fox Sports Net. Well, they intentionally pass Tino Martinez to bring in the red-hot Cardinals shortstop Edgar Renteria. Kind of a curious move here by Lloyd McClendon. Trying to set up a double play possibly, and Renteria with a home run and a single and 3 RBIs here tonight.
Percentages.
Yeah. Figured at some point he's got to cool off, right?
Already done his damage. Well, it hadn't happened in the second half. Look at that average, 316 now. He's got 3 RBIs tonight.
One ball, 1 strike on Renteria.
I was every now and then, doing the radio show, you know, the fans are great fans, and sometimes they'll make an observation or statement that you kind of really question. And it's like our virtual manager, it's perception. So everyone is entitled to opinion, but
look at that. Roland stealing that base easily. Both runners will move up. Tino from first to second. And the starter Wells just forgot about the base runners.
Great jump by Scott Rowland. He comes here. But the question that got me today, as you see, look at the infielders. And Rowland gets there, and then Tino just falls. Now they have to bring the infield in with 1 out. Runners at second, third.
2 balls and a strike on Renteria. Little liner gets down. Young will tag out Renteria, rolling back to third, Tino back to second. The question
Was the caller thought that he liked Jack Wilson better than Renteria.
Oh. Have you seen some of the decisions of Jack Wilson's tonight?
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but it was one that I strongly disagree.
Now Wilson's a nice defensive player. They're going to intentionally pass Matheny. This is probably the most he's ever been intentionally passed the last 4 or 5 games or so. But Wilson's a nice defensive player, but he does it with such flash. I think sometimes you could perceive it as being a little better than he really is. Would you agree?
Yeah. And I don't like the way he throws sidearm. He's made some nice plays, and he's upgrade, but gets on. The Cardinal people didn't like the way he dove for everything. Played a little flashy. Felt like he played the game with the flair that a lot of players do today, but made plays look much tougher than they actually were. We've seen him get under the skin of his own teammates here.
Yeah. We were here and he went after Brian Boehringer, and Boehringer went after him. Well, the Ducks are on the pond, Al. We've got the bases loaded. They're juiced. Some more baseball terminology for you. Andy Bennis with home runs in 3 decades, and now he's got the bases loaded. Does he own a grand slam?
I do not believe so. He has 7 career home runs.
6 have been solo. There it is.
The base is juiced, huh?
The graphic is even into our instructional night. That's Doug Stanton, our graphics guru, travels with us, part of our Bud Sports crew.
If anybody knows about juice.
That's rip foul. It's 0-2. Talking about Doug Stanton now.
His father-in-law owns an Anheuser-Busch distributorship in Kentucky, and walking back from the ballpark last night, he stopped at the Farmer's Produce and got some grapefruit juice.
Oh,
what did
okay.
you think I meant?
I was completely mistaken, Al. I'm sorry. What was I thinking? What was I possibly thinking with Doug Stanton and cold frosty beverage? It was grapefruit juice, of course.
Well, that's what he told me. I don't know what he told you.
Something a little different. 2-2 on Andy Bettis. Bases loaded. Cardinals have 9 hits against Wells here tonight.
Finally retired Arizona in the first.
2-0. Diamondbacks on top. Jam shot there. Wells, forgetting to cover, finally goes over there with Kevin Young, the first baseman, making the play. 5-1 St. Louis. Bottom of 5 here at PNC Park, and it's the Cardinals on top, 5-1. Hey kids, the Cardinals have added another great promotion. Sunday, August 25th, the Cardinals play the Phillies. It's Jason Isringhausen Growth Poster Day. All fans 15 and under with a paid admission receive a life-size Izzy Growth Poster. Compliments of the Midwest Dairy Association. Again, that'll be Sunday, August 25th. 421-3060 for ticket information. Andy Bennis has allowed 1 hit through 4 innings here tonight. The Cardinals are up by 4 runs. It's 5-1 St. Louis. Virtual manager, what is the most important aspect of the game? And 56% of the folks that voted on foxsports.com believe fundamentals over pitching and hitting, but isn't pretty much pitching and hitting the fundamentals of the game? We're trying to trick our viewers tonight. Al?
They're tricking me too.
More virtual manager later in the show. We still have some more instruction with Fernando Vina later tonight. Greg Wilson will lead things off for the Pirates here in the 5th. Wilson walked and scored. The lone run for Pittsburgh back in the 3rd came around on hit number 999 for Jason Kendall. Pitch count for Andy Bennis. It's at 75. Threw an awful lot of pitches in that 3rd inning.
Let's see if he can have a real quick and efficient 1-2-3 with those guys that gave him a hard time in the 3rd.
Mentioned that Arizona leads Cincinnati. That's in the 2nd. 2-0. Houston won today. A little tough road for the Reds. Two and two. High fly ball into deep center field. Edmonds, he's got it. If you're keeping score at home, which I've never met anybody that actually does that, but if you are, let's show you the numbers that go with the positions. For instance, Jim Edmonds put that away, so he's number 8 out there in center field. 7, 8, 9, 7 in left, 8 in center, 9 in right. Pitcher is 1, catcher 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on the infield. Our instructional look at how to keep score with the numbers of the position players.
Well, we even showed you that it's 60 feet 6 inches from home plate to the pitcher's mound, and 90 feet from from home to first, and first to second, second to third, third to home.
Is that a legal coaching box there along the third base line?
I think the one on third base is a little longer than the one on right.
The dimensions don't add up there, Al.
Yeah.
There's a shot and a base hit for Pokey Reese. Just the 2nd hit allowed by Bennis here tonight.
Make them hit their way on. Pokey Reese has an 8-game hitting streak now.
And bring in the pitcher Kip Wells, who could not help himself after a pair of leadoff walks to Wilson and Pokey Reese back in the 3rd. Remember, Wells was trying to get down a sacrifice and couldn't do it, and he was retired.
The best thing for Lloyd McClendon is that he still has a starter in this ball game, even though he's allowed 5 runs.
Winning percentage for Cincinnati against teams that are winning teams is well below 500. That's what they are staring at for the next 20 games. Lost last night against Arizona, trailing here tonight. Their final 23 games will be against clubs under 500. So tough stretch for them. And for Houston, they're hoping to get Carlos Hernandez back pretty quickly. He had a rehab assignment the last week or so. His next stop could be with the Astros. He was out since early July 2nd, with shoulder inflammation, so he's been out. Wells bunts it foul. They, of course, lost Julio Lugo 2 nights ago when Kerry Wood broke his arm, so they called up Adam Everett, who was the opening day shortstop for Jimmy Williams. Very good defensive shortstop, but only hit 182.
Still got Vizcaino there, don't they?
Right.
And I got to play him. Kip Wells feeling the pressure of Rowland charging at third, trying to bunt the ball to the first base side, but not getting that bat out into fair territory. Now, Pokey Reese wants to talk to Tommy Sant.
Reese is 7 for 7 in stolen base opportunities. The bunt is down. Matheny has it. Fires to Vina covering, and the sacrifice is good. 2-4 on the sacrifice.
Everyone has a responsibility in bunting situations. See where Rowland's charging, but Tino will come into the pitcher too. Then you got your second baseman going. He's got to cover first base. Matheny, you see, look at Rowland going back to third base as your shortstop is out at second base in case that runner gets in a rundown, or maybe even the pickle.
Hot box. Pickle. All kinds of baseball terms that we're throwing out at folks.
Oh my goodness, there is so many.
Keep them coming.
Colorful terminology that says something about a situation.
Kendall trying to pick up hit number 1,000. He's one shy. Two balls and no strikes. He's hit safely in 20 of his last 24. Pokey Reese at second with 2 outs. The next to Kendall. Drilled into deep center field. Edmonds on the run. He's got it. Edmonds got a great jump on that ball driven by Kendall, and he makes the play in left center field and takes an RBI away and hit number 1,000 away from Kendall. This portion of Cardinal Baseball on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Jack in the Box, where we don't make it till you order it. By your local St. Louis area Kia dealers. It's about time everyone had a well-made car. And by Dobbs Tire and Auto Center, St. Louis's #1 choice for tires and automotive service. Clemente Bridge, PNC Park. We welcome you back to Pittsburgh, and Jim Edmonds is part of our Pennzoil protection play of the game, and he can go get him, Al. He's one of the game's best.
So Lenia hit out there that Jimmy got a great jump, as you said, and didn't have to make one of his patented dives. His wheels caught up to it, and nice over-the-shoulder catch. That was sweet.
Andy Bennis, like he does many times, Al, he'll wait for a teammate to come back into the dugout. He'll wait at the top of the dugout. Give him the glad hand, and he did so with Edmonds. He did so the other night with a couple of great plays by Eduardo Perez. Can't say enough about Andy. He's off the scrap heap, and he's now one of the best pitchers in this rotation. Vina with 2 hits tonight. Coming up after the game, it's the Midwest Sports Report. Rob King and Pat Paris are standing by. 30 minutes of nightly sports news dedicated to the St. Louis teams. Steve Klein goes to camp. He was at Steelers camp this morning, a Pennsylvania native. When will Woody Williams return for the Cardinals? We'll find out there. And Luther as a starter. He will start tomorrow night for the Redbirds. All coming up on the Midwest Sports Report here on Fox Sports Net. Venus 2 for 4. Check on him at first.
Sure, little Robbie King will give us an update on his golf lessons today.
Wasn't pretty for any of us the other day, was it?
No, but he took lessons. Sure to improve his game.
He should have if he didn't. See what Vigna wants to do here. You can see Young now is on the bag, and we've seen primarily Young be off the bag as he tries to hold on a runner.
Interesting to me.
Switched up their philosophy here.
Yeah.
You've got a left-handed hitter up, so if you're ever going to play off the bag, this would be the kind of time and situation to do it. Right?
Absolutely.
Vigna fakes going to second. Drew takes a strike. It's 0-2.
Maybe we could show as what we're talking about is with Young now at the bag. So after the pitch is made, or as in the process of pitcher releasing the ball to the plate, he comes off the bag, gets into fielding position. But what they have been doing is he's stationary in front of Vigna, so he's probably a good 4 or 5 feet further off the line in a better defensive position with a left-handed batter by their other way they defense the steal. And I think it really is more effective. To see here, look at Vigna. He can get a good look at the pitcher. The other way, he has to either take a bigger lead.
Kendall's throw to second, not in time. It's in center field. Makoviak will come up gunning, try to get Vigna. He's in there. Ramirez almost lost it right through his glove.
Oh, but that ball hit Kip Wells in the face. I'm not sure if it hit as it got by the third baseman Ramirez and the pitcher backing it up.
Now Ramirez was trying to deke Vigna here, and he just missed the ball.
See, that's not good. Then another strong throw by Makoviak, just flat out misses. They didn't look it into it. He slides into the base. He touches it, sees the ball in center field, kind of pop-up slide, and goes on over to third. As that ball got away from the third baseman, the pitcher was backing up. It went off around the dugout area, came back and hit him right in the face.
Right. That's 15 stolen bases now for Fernando Vigna. Trails Renteria for the team lead by 1. And it's a full count. It was 0-2 on Drew. Now a full count. And JD has had a 2 for 3 night, including an RBI, his 44th.
Pretty weak effort from Jack Wilson, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Wasn't a good throw, but
Pokey Reese, a diving stop. Oh, what a play with the infield drawn in, and Vigna doesn't score on a ball hit to the right side. That's a heck of a play by Pokey Reese there at second.
Well, from the angle where Vigna's at, he probably first thought the pitcher was going to get it. And by the time it took him to realize that it got by the pitcher, Vigna really, he's not going on context. He's going back because he thinks the pitcher's going to get it, and then it was all too late. And if you saw, when Pokey dove for the ball, his first look was to third base, so he would have been in position to throw out Vigna. Sometimes you just don't win if you don't go on contact.
Infield drawn in. Here's an RBI opportunity for Edmonds, and the ball just gets away.
Boy, how about the difference between Mike Matheny blocking a ball in the dirt and that lack of effort by Jason Kendall. Watch this. See how he comes up? You see how he comes up and it hit his knee? But what does Matheny say? Spread out, throw that glove down. But he comes up and it goes off the knee instead of off the body.
Well, the Cardinals force the issue here with a stolen base. And then the throw goes into center field. You can charge that one pretty much to Kendall. On a ball that got into center, then Vigna moved over as you see the pitch count over 100. He moved up to third and then pass ball and gets in there.
Well, this will probably be Wells' last inning of work.
Running game is really kind of a lost art, isn't it? You just don't see it like you saw it even 10, 15 years ago.
Well, Dan, it's a situation where everything has become so scientific, or everything is so analyzed. One, you have to have a pitcher with a slow release. You have to have the catcher that doesn't have a quick release. And then if those, add up to a higher average than what the average your base runner is going to get to advance, is the only way you're going to get a stolen base attempt. If it's not, in this era of home runs, they just don't want to run into an out.
3 balls and a strike. Luis Castillo leads the major leagues with just 39 stolen bases. That's all he's got, and he is the major league leader with 39. Alfonso Soriano with 31 for the Yankees. Young not in front of that, off his glove. That's not a very good effort there. So Edmonds reaches, and that's an error on Kevin Young.
It's his 9th error, and as you said, plays that Tino made earlier today, they were backhands much like Kevin Young's attempt, but they were much more difficult from this one. He's playing out here. It's not a hard hit ball. Big hops. It stayed down. It hit the edge of the grass, and it stayed down on him. But still, he probably had enough time to get in front of that ball and play it squared up and not have to backhand it. Wouldn't hit that hard.
Here's Albert Pujols. You think about 1985, Vince Coleman, 110 stolen bases, and Whitey's offense was really predicated on forcing the defense to make plays. Their offense was so good because they could run you ragged with McGee and Ozzie and Tommy Herr and Coleman. They were all switch hitters, and you could do so many things with that squad, Al.
Here's go back to the play. So he's kind of, never really got set in there. He's kind of like the hands on his hips, kind of moving around. First move was to his left. There's some reins on him, but he could have taken another half step and squared up to that ball. If it would have stayed down, it still would have gone off his body or dropped down to a knee to block the ball. But a little lazy, and that's what happens when these losses start adding up for the Pirates. Their concentration goes too.
2 balls and a strike now on Albert Pujols. So you think the running game has kind of been diminished because of the home run?
Absolutely.
In a lot of ways.
You do not want to take a chance of running into an out because scoring is so up.
Right.
With the emergence of a long ball. Most of your leadoff guys.
That's what I'm saying.
Aren't even base stealers anymore.
Nope. Here's a 3-1 to Pujols. Ooh, big rip there, full count. Of course, Ricky Henderson had 130 steals in 1982. He's now the all-time stolen base leader with over 1,400.
You go back to Lou Brock when he stole 118 bases. I don't know the actual number, but I would say maybe 2 or 3 at the most were of third. Where modern guys stole third base more so than they did second.
Double play ball. Wilson avoids a slide. Another guy that comes to mind is Omar Moreno. Here in Pittsburgh, Cardinals add another run. It's 6-1. It's 6-1 Cardinals here in the bottom of the 6th. Split screen with Mike Matheny and Tina Martinez. We have heard from both these individuals about an instructional night and how to do things. And I'll take it away with what we're seeing with the left side of the screen and on the right side.
Well, you can just see a direct contrast where Matheny practices craft and does it in a position to where he's going to block it. And they didn't do it, with Kendall. Here, you want to get to square up to the plate, but sometimes the ball hit hard enough you can't do it. But Tino still backhands it. But there you saw start with Kevin Young. He wasn't really set. The first thing he had to do was kind of click his heels together to come up before he could move to his right. And then he's out there stretched out, reaching for it. The ball stayed down on him, and he couldn't make the play. But it all starts with anticipation and being ready before the ball is delivered.
Here's a shortstop, Jack Wilson. Wilson, Giles, and Ramirez. 2, 3, 4 in the Pirates order here in their half of the 6th. They trail by the score of 6-1.
You go back even further to the split screen of the two catchers. Matheny talking about his base, and even talked about as a defensive player. He's ready to go forward. Where Kendall, the way he was in a stance, he looked like he was ready to fall backwards.
Right. Albert Pujols there for out number 1 in the 6th.
Just look at the way they set up. Look where Matheny, it's so easy for him to come forward on a ball and to drop down on it, put the glove between the legs, come over the top to try and smother the ball there. But Kendall, where he's positioned, you see how he's almost like backwards. He's got his weight backwards, and then when he tried to come forward, he lost his balance and the ball went off his shin guard.
You seen any better than Matheny?
No, absolutely not. And if we talked about it, he works on it between pitches, and you said there is exactly what you're talking about
during our last break. Yeah,
he works on it. Dave Ricketts, has been in the Cardinal minor league system as a catching instructor for a long, long time, and I'm sure he helped give all of our guys some proper instruction. But I think Mike Matheny has worked at it and taken it to a higher level.
1-2 on Giles. Home run number 30 Monday night, joining Ralph Kiner and Willie Stargell as the only Bucks did 30 or more home runs in 4 straight seasons. Kiner hit 30 plus in 6 straight. Late 40s and early 50s. Stargell did it from 1970 to 73.
Another thing is this guy plays every day. 106 consecutive starts.
Here's the 1-2. Struck him out. Good pitch by Andy Bennis. He strikes out Giles. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinal Baseball is a production of Bud Sports and an exclusive presentation of Fox Sports Net. Here's Ramirez. He rips it foul.
How about Andy?
It's been some kind of story, isn't it?
I mean, he's just going out there and having fun again, competing. And not sure what's going on right now, whether a Pirate has been ejected or not, but Lloyd McClendon. You can't argue balls and strikes, so what's he out there? And I think it might have been the called 3rd strike to Giles is what they're talking about. Giles, final pitch to Giles. It looked like a backdoor breaking ball, and Giles didn't say anything. His manager sure is. And I'm sure right now one of the things that
he's trying to get his club fired up too.
Yeah, and we'll see what it is. Looks like it went around the plate. Maybe he was tossed.
Count is 1 ball and 1 strike on Ramirez. Well, we're told that Giles went down the walkway, but we're still unsure as to whether or not he's been ejected.
I could see him sitting in the dugout, standing at the dugout at the steps. So I don't see Lloyd McClendon.
It looked like the umpire too was motioning for him, just go to the dugout. You've had your piece. I'm not going to eject you. If you take it any further, I will. But then when Lloyd McClendon comes out to argue balls and strikes, that's it.
See, Bill Verdon has the scorecard in his hand, so I'm assuming that Lloyd McClendon has been ejected. There's Bill Verdon, who Lloyd McClendon's always talking about how lucky he is to have such an experienced former manager in his dugout. And really took it as a compliment that he wanted to come back a second year.
Ramirez hangs in there. Here's Lloyd McClendon. Yeah, he's been ejected. He was done.
Well, he's, like you said, trying to fire up his ball club. He's starting to feel a little pressure that they need to win. They have been getting beat up of late.
1-2 on Ramirez.
Pirates have lost 4 straight, 6 of their last 7, 8 of their last 10. Season low 15 games under 500. And I think about the last 7 or 8 games, every team's had at least 6 or at least 7, at least 10 hits against them, and they score more than 5 runs.
Now, in watching Ramirez play, we have not been, let's just say, impressed. But if you talk to some of the brass on the other side, with the Cardinals, they like the skills of Ramirez.
Yeah, they like his talent, and they feel like a club with the Cardinals. One, they feel he's a better first baseman, but 2, coaches or the leaders of this ball club would jump on him and say, you got to play harder, and you got to hustle.
Edmonds runs to his spot, turns around, finds the baseball, and makes the play. Ramirez flies out. Roland, Martinez, and Renteria coming up. Hey, congratulations to Bill Yurkowitz, today's merchandise prize winner in the Hyundai Long Drive Inning Sweepstakes. If the Cardinals hit a home run here in the 7th, Bill Yurkowitz will qualify for the grand prize drawing for the Hyundai Santa Fe at the end of the baseball season. We had a winner the other night. To register, visit a St. Louis area Hyundai dealer to complete an entry form. So you have a chance to win that Hyundai Santa Fe at the end of the baseball season. We've seen an awful lot of Ron Vallone the last couple of nights. A record of 2-6, New Jersey native. Lefty will take over for Kip Wells.
He's going to be batting the 2nd spot in the order, and Abraham Nunez will go in to play shortstop, and he will bat 9th.
Not a very good outing here for Kip Wells here tonight.
Well, I think it was just fine.
For us, yes. Scott Rowland will be the leadoff man here in the 7th. He takes a ball from Vallone. Roland Martinez and Edgar Renteria. Cardinals have a chance, if they can hold on, to go for the sweep tomorrow night. 2-2 between Arizona and Cincinnati. That's the 3rd inning. Houston a winner, 4-3 over Chicago. So Wells gave up 10 hits, 110 pitches, 6 runs. 1-2 on Roland. Tomorrow night we'll see Luther Hackman. And Luther is scheduled to make at least 2 more starts, including tomorrow, possibly 3. Popped up. Foul ground. Young near the Cardinal dugout. He's got it. So good start for Ron Vallone. Brings in Tino Martinez. Cardinals lead the Central by 2.5 games. Could be 3 after the night is over. Pittsburgh is 13.5 games out. And 3 weeks ago they were just 7.
15 games under 500 now. That's their low water mark for the season.
Strike to Tino Martinez. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tino tonight has been on base 3 times. A pair of walks, 1 intentional, and a base hit, and he scored a run. Pirates had a 100-loss season last year. Three and 1.
And trying to drop down sidearm here a little bit, and Tino not biting. Malone was actually traded for Andy Bennis one time. He was part of a trade.
Right. And he strikes out Tino Martinez, 2 away. Let's turn to our NL Central standings, brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Cardinals up by 2.5 games. They're now 12 games above 500. Astros 2.5 out. Reds 3.5. Pirates, as you see, 13.5 games out. The Cubs with a loss today. They're now 50-68, 15 out. And the Brewers 42-76, 23 games out. They're in the midst of their 10th consecutive losing season. Now they've got to win over half of their remaining 45 games to avoid the 100-loss plateau, and it looks like they're going to do it. Well, last season they had the most operating profit in the majors, but yet they cut their payroll coming back into this season. That didn't make any sense.
Oh, and that's part of the argument against revenue sharing, rich clubs giving to the poor and them not spending it, you know, on player salary.
Dean Taylor's got to figure out what direction he wants to go with that team. He's got Richie Sexson, who's a nice player. Ben Sheets, Nick Neugebauer will be good pitchers for them in the future. But then they give up on a guy like Alex Ochoa and get nothing in return for him at the trade deadline, just to cut a little payroll. 3-1 on Renteria.
You know, there's always been the haves and have-nots, and there's always been well-run organizations and ones that have not been very well.
Ramirez backing up on the ball, but he makes the play. Now for a look at today's national news headlines. Let's go to the Fox Network Center. Cardinal fans, now is the time to schedule your group outing to Busch Stadium. The Cardinals offer many packages and discounts exclusively for groups. Some of the group specials include discounts on Terrace Reserve tickets every game, half-price nights every month, partial ticket return options that keep you from being stuck with unneeded tickets. So if you'd like to find out about that group package, which is a great way to head down to Busch Stadium, 425-0600, 425-0600 today to get the best seat locations. That's the group sales office down at Busch. 18,791 here at PNC Park as we welcome you back. Bottom of the 7th, Makoviak, Young, and Craig Wilson. Andy Bennis has turned into quite a story for the Cardinals as he'll pitch into the 7th and only 2 hits allowed.
Well, he's pitching. You know, it's just easy explanation. He's pitching and not throwing the ball.
And there's a difference.
There is a distinct difference. One allows you to win. The other one allows you to be a journeyman. Not that Andy ever was, but that's just another terminology.
And the way that he's been throwing, now he starts to think about even next season and pitching in to another year of Major League Baseball. And he's developed a good pitch with that forkball that he learned as a nice play is made by a fan. But he learned that forkball splitter combination changeup from Chuck Finley. And those two were friends in the American League, as Andy told us on the pregame show. When Andy was with Seattle, and he became friends with Chuck Finley after all those years with Anaheim.
Well, you know, Dan, I remember last year when we had Andy's pitching grips, and I saw one, and I said, well, what is that? And he said, it's his fastball. And I'd never seen someone throw their fastball with their middle and index fingers spread so far apart. And I talked to him about it. I said, well, don't you ever put your fingers together? His fingers are huge to begin with.
His hand is big.
Yeah, his hand is big. So he always spread his fastball grip a little more so than anybody else. And the reason, you know, one of the reasons you put it together is to get a little more movement and better velocity, because you spread it out to slow down the pitch. So it to me it made so much sense when he started working with with Chuck Finley and throwing a fork ball splitter. All he did was spread it out a little bit, and his fingers are so big that He not only got the effective changeup, but he got the downward movement.
Leadoff walk to Makoviak to start the bottom of the 7th. Don't forget, tomorrow night, the Best Damn Sports Show period. They've got quite a guest, Iron Mike Tyson. He will be part of the program tomorrow on the Best Damn Sports Show period here on Fox Sports Net. That program can be seen a couple of times at 8 and 11 tomorrow here on Fox Sports Net. Some activity now in the Cardinal bullpen. Looks like Dave Beers is up and throwing, and this will be the last inning for Andy Benes. His pitch count well over 100 now, and he's due up second for the Cardinals here in the 8th. Rather, it's Crudale and not Beers in the bullpen.
Well, to me, I think it's important for Andy to get a win. He deserves a couple wins for the way he's pitched the last 2 times out there. And he's over 100 pitches now. See, if he doesn't get too deep into this inning, you have that bullpen ready to get him out of there right away. And Crudale was one of the guys that we've seen the emergence of Mike and the confidence that the staff has in him.
Time was called. The hitter is Kevin Young. He has flied twice to Albert Pujols in left. He's 0 for 2. Makoviak is at first, with the Pirates trailing 6-1. A check on Makoviak at first base. Friday will be a huge day yet again in the labor situation with Major League Baseball. For the most part, drug testing and contraction in the worldwide draft have been addressed, but the 2 main ones, like you said, Al, revenue sharing and the luxury tax, is time is called, and Tony La Russa is going to make that change right now.
Yeah, I saw where Dave Duncan went back, and I knew he went to the phone and came back and said, okay, Mike said he's ready. And Tony's going to the home plate umpire because it'll be a double switch as Eli Marrero is going in to this game, and we'll see where he's going. He's going to the left field, and I think Martinez will come out of the game. And looks like Pujols may be going to first base. Just speculation.
Yeah, I think you're right, as Tino is trying to get a glove for Pujols as he'll move from left to first. Crudale will come in. Bottom of the 7th, and it's 6-1 St. Louis. Three strikeouts for Andy Benes on the night. He walked a couple. He's talking it over with Chuck Finley, his new teammate. And Benes will give way to Mike Crudale, appearing for the 31st time this year for the Cardinals. And Crudale has moved into a real important role with Timlin gone and Beers struggling a bit. Crudale was a guy that has really stepped it up and done a nice job out of the bullpen. Eli Marrero will take over in left field, and you were right, Al. Pujols moves from left to first, and Tino Martinez is out of the game, so Eli will be due up second. He's in the 9th spot in the order, and Crudale will be in the 6th spot. That spot was occupied by Tino Martinez.
That's exactly what we need is 9 more outs for Andy to pick up his 2nd win of the year. 6 innings, 1 run, 2 hits allowed, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, and another quality performance from the big guy.
2-2 in the 4th between Arizona and Cincinnati. Fly ball into left field. A chance here for Eli Marrero. Long way to go, and he makes the play for the first out here in the bottom of the 7th. It's 3 flyouts for Young to left.
8 more outs for Andy.
After his one of his starts this year in Arizona, you would have thought this is the last place you were going to see Andy Benes as one of the best pitchers in this rotation down the stretch.
It's kind of fuzzy with exactly what all occurred between the retirement on and off, going down to Memphis eventually and trying to rehab himself back, but the fact is his last several starts have been the most consistent of any Cardinal start.
Is that screech in the background there of Andy Benes?
Do not know.
Pretty well hit in the left center field. Off the bat of Wilson, it's gone. A home run for Craig Wilson. Cuts the lead in half, a 2-run shot. And it's a 6-3 ball game.
Talked about Wilson had home run power. That is his 10th. Last year he set a record, tied a record for pinch hit home runs in a season. Wasn't easy in the 9th inning last night. It remains to be seen what happens here. He hits a fastball, drops a bat head. Seen Herrera after a couple steps after he turned to look. He just kind of knew that one was gone.
It's Pokey Reese swinging a miss at a 93-mile-an-hour fastball from Crudell. He can get it up there in the mid-90s. So close the book on Andy Bennett. 6 innings and 2 runs. Both earned 2 hits. He struck out 3 and he walked 3.
Pokey Reese swinging the bat as good now as he has any time in his career. 8-game hitting streak, batting .379 during that time. Greg Wilson made these fans believe that maybe a comeback's in order.
Lloyd McClendon, if you're just joining us, has been ejected from this ball game. Arguing balls and strikes on a called 3rd strike on Brian Giles 2 innings ago. But Bill Burden takes over.
I think we all know the mindset of Lloyd McClendon to kind of jumpstart his team, get them back in here, and for the most part he's been very proud of their ability to play hard for 27 outs.
Mentioned before, Friday is that big day in baseball, Alan. From the vibes that we get from the players being around the team, it's still positive that they are still talking and things are still moving in the right direction. Well, let's hope that's going to be the case, because Friday we could hear that the strike date has been set, which of course again does not mean they're going to go on strike, but as long as they keep talking, that's the main thing. This is a different atmosphere than the one that we saw in '94.
I think both sides realize it's a great industry, but it's not going to, fans are not going to look favorable on a strike.
$3.5 billion baseball made last year. It's B billion
revenues,
right?
Seemed like to be some type of formula to figure out how everybody can be happy.
Two runs tonight scored by the Pirates have been walks that have come around to score. Of course, the two major hurdles are revenue sharing and the luxury tax. Owners have talked about a 50% tax on every dollar spent over a payroll that's above $98 million, and the players don't want that. They feel that that's almost like a cap. It would hinder a free enterprise and trying to get the most money that they can. And well, you know, when you were playing, Al, it was one thing that when you guys went out on strike, you were trying to get to this level. But when the average salary is $2.3 million, you got to rethink about what you're striking about.
It's fair to say when I played, the majority of the time, the pendulum was too much in the favor of the owners, and now it's too much in the pendulum has swung too far to the players. Got to come back to the middle. I heard, you keep on hearing the salary cap. I heard somebody use another term that I like better. That is a competitive balance tax.
That's exactly right.
A competitive balance tax where this money goes to the weaker and lower revenue franchises, bring them up, contract the top down a little bit. Baseballs always have.
Nunez with a base hit up the middle. And the tying run now comes to the plate.
Baseball always had, teams that had higher payrolls, teams that spent their payrolls more efficiently. But it was, say like you had a payroll at the low end was maybe $2 or $3 million, and at the high end it was 10.
Right.
So I mean, there was some kind of competitiveness.
You bring up competitive balance, and that's something that Paul Molitor had talked about at the bargaining table in 1994. He was on record as saying, I understand what you're trying to do for us, Donald Fehr, but where's the competitive balance in the game? Where's it going to shift? And he was exactly right. There's too many of these teams have no chance to compete.
Yeah, and hopefully it was just a statement. But I can understand the frustration when players have and ownership has when.
Kendall lines out to Pujols, and it's a double play. Albert leaps for it, and he saves a run or two. And the Cardinals get out of the inning. Albert with a leaping play to keep it 6-3. Home field advantage goes to the family arriving at the game, and their Ford Windstar now with $3,000 cash back or 0% APR financing. Ford and your quality Ford stores. Your home run to summer fun. We saw Albert Pujols play first base last night and start a very nice double play. And he makes a leaping grab here tonight at first base after starting the evening in left field. It's 6-3 St. Louis as we start play here in the 8th inning. Matheny, Marrero, and the top of the order in Vina against Ron Vallone in his second inning of work.
Dan, what I was about to say was when Donald Fehr was quoted earlier in this year as saying there's no problem with the competitive balance of baseball. That's wrong. Ask Pirate fans, ask Milwaukee fans. He cited Minnesota, but that's an aberration. They have a 2 or 3 year window that is now closing.
And you have to be about perfect too on your player selection.
Absolutely. And Montreal is being run more effectively now than it ever has been, and it's it's playing .500 baseball, but it's 18 games out.
There's a shot down the right field line. It is slicing and just foul. Just foul. You mentioned that window closing. Well, Torrey Hunter, who has a chance to be the MVP, arbitration eligible. Jack Jones, one of the top leadoff men in the game, same thing. Doug McCavich, David Ortiz, those 4 players all arbitration eligible, and they feel they can at best keep one of them.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I'm saying. They have a window, but and they got a couple other prominent guys that are going to be free agents. Not even talking about the guys that are arbitration eligible.
Right. Ball and 2 strikes on the Cardinal catcher Mike Matheny. Breaking ball just missed. Now the steroid issue, the drug testing. Now while the proposal that is at least gained ground is kind of a joke in essence, but at least the players have said they want to be tested and they agree to that. USA Today about a month ago had a survey, and it was 79% of the major leaguers said they would agree to be tested, and that's going in the right direction. Contraction is another hurdle that needs to be addressed. Of course, the owners want to take away 2 franchises, and the players are saying, well, relocate them, find new ownership.
Bottom line is you go to a smaller television market.
Yep.
But I mean, negotiate. You don't want contraction? Give up something else.
Right. Worldwide draft is another one, as Matheny hits this one into right field. The owners want that draft reduced to 38 rounds. Players are saying 16. But those are all chips when you talk about revenue sharing and the luxury tax.
But even with the luxury tax and revenue sharing, the owners and players have agreed in principle in the past to include both those. Now you have to come up to a number that both can live with. So, it's fundamentally they've already accepted the problems.
Eli's first at bat. Ramirez, good play. 2 outs. Now what's your opinion on first-year and second-year players getting some of the exorbitant amount of money that they attract and paying those players as much as some of them are getting?
Are you talking about at the major league level or at the
major league level? Which the minimum, by the way, has now been up to 300,000.
300,000
for two.
Well, I mean, here you get into a problem, and Albert Pujols is a prime example. The Cardinal ownership was extremely generous.
It's something they didn't have to do.
They didn't have to do. Yeah, they can control you and how much you get paid until you go to arbitration. But you know, they don't want an unhappy employee. So even the times that they got the hammer, you know, a lot of clubs are reluctant to use it, trying to keep a player happy. And you know, I mean, you look at the Pirates. You know, they went out after Ramirez had one good year. They get signed to a multi-year contract. Now they feel like they've been cheated because he hasn't lived up to that side of the bargain. Where at least Pujols is having as good a year, if not better year than unbelievable and the best rookie season ever by a Cardinal, you know, rookie.
They gave him the most of any second-year player that's ever played in St. Louis, but they didn't have to give him the kind of money that they did. But like you said, trying to keep him happy. Good play there by Kevin Young, and we have played 7.5. Bottom of the 8th is coming up. This portion of Cardinal baseball on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, bringing people together with lower fares. By Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. And by Lowe's, improving home improvement. Mike Crudale will stay in this ball game for his second inning of work. Took over for Andy Bennis. It's 6-3. Cardinals on top. Our fine Bud Sports crew is with us. Dan McLaughlin, Al Raboski, Tom Nee, Ken Sample, Lindsey Polite, Doug Stanton. Terry Rosick is our technical director. Outstanding job.
Very
under duress is what you're saying.
Very difficult conditions.
Sure. Here's Adam Heisdu, leadoff man here in the bottom of the 8th. 1 for his last 23. It's a 2-2 game between Arizona and Cincinnati. That is in the 5th inning. Houston over Chicago 4-3. Philadelphia beat Milwaukee 4-1. Florida over Colorado 1-0. Three and 0.
Mike Crudale has had a little tough time, and saw Renteria kind of saying, hey, you know, come on now, settle down. You need to get through this 8th inning. Steve Klein is also warming up. He more than likely will be in there to face Giles, the on-deck hitter.
That would be close. 4 straight balls from Crudale. The NFL on Fox returns with a preseason look at 2 Super Bowl contenders. Brian Urlacher, hard-hitting Bears defense, gets a chance to go toe-to-toe with Marshall Faulk and the explosive Rams offense. It all begins this week on Fox Sports. That's going to be it for Crudale. Tony La Russa making that long walk out from the dugout to the mound. And Steve Klein will be brought into this game. So Steve Klein will be the 3rd pitcher used by Tony La Russa and the Cardinals. A leadoff walk by Crudale. Klein is coming in. Steve Klein allowed his first home run to a left-hander since joining St. Louis. That was on Monday night, and it'll be the man that he's facing that he gave it up against, Brian Giles. Span of 131 games, 153 at bats. Had a very good weekend against the Mets, but Klein has been inconsistent this season. He's a big Steelers fan, and earlier today he was with Bill Cowher and the Steelers camp. Had a chance to meet one of his favorite coaches. Of course, Bill Cowher and Tony La Russa have become friends over the last few years.
It's amazing how many managers and head coaches get together and almost compare notes. Different sports, but it's still a people business, and how to deal with athletes, motivate them, how to punish them, how to discipline them.
Klein has been struggling a bit with his confidence, Al.
We talked about Giles taking earlier, and here this time he goes up there pumping, maybe trying to set up a pitcher. He got a slider that he hit for the home run the first time, or the other night. Klein had thrown a couple good ones, then he hung one to him. But that's the life of a left-handed specialist. Sometimes you only get one shot, and either you're the hero or the GOAT. More times than not, Steve's been the hero.
As Giles had no balls and 2 strikes. The home run that he hit was number 30 on the season. Matheny sets up way outside, and it's driven into center. And there's Edmonds on an 0-2 delivery. Giles flies out to Jim Edmonds in center. That's the first out here in the 8th. Heisdu back to first. 3, 4, and 5 in the order of Pittsburgh here tonight. 0 for 9 with a walk. That's a big out there.
Really, the 7, 8, 9 hitters have really done the damage, including Ann Kendall, who got an RBI single in the 3rd, but you got to contain the middle, the heart of the order is a good formula for winning.
Here's Ramirez. He takes a ball. 15 for his last 41, hitting .366 over that span to raise his average to .230. 0 for 3 tonight, and a double play candidate here. Pujols holds it first. Been an up and down season, like I mentioned, for Steve Klein, and part of the problem for him has just been a lack of confidence.
Well, part of it too is going on the disabled list for the first time in his career earlier this year, not pitching in a groove.
Deep right field, but JD is there for the 2nd out.
Talking about pitching in a groove, Steve, has floating chips in his elbow. They're floating, and they just don't ever get into a spot where it really hurts him. That's something that is of concern down the road.
See Steve Klein talking to Albert Pujols. He's going to position him, and now he's going to play behind. Pujols playing behind the runner Heisdu.
A lot of times that book may say something, but you as a pitcher, you know what guy's history is against you, and how you're going to pitch him, what they have normally done.
And you could see him motion Albert to tell him play behind, because Makoviak is a guy that has pulled the ball a great deal against the Cardinals this year. 2-0.
Throwing the sliders away to him, but I guess he just feels that instead of going with the pitch to the opposite field, he tries to roll over and hit the ground ball to the right side.
Will come your way on WB11 tomorrow night. 6 o'clock. Luther Hackman gets the start. And Heisdu is going to steal a base.
The only thing they're doing is they're just giving him the opportunity. Fielder's indifference gave him a free shot to put himself in scoring position.
A little surprised with a 3-run lead to let him do that.
A little bit.
Yeah. It's not like it's a.
I think you can still, keep him close, but not the way
Exactly.
Pujols was playing.
This game is far from over. Still got 4 outs to get. We saw last night those final 3 outs can be a tough 3 outs to get.
Yep. Time consuming.
Yes, it was. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Makoviak. Hits it towards Roland. His first opportunity tonight. Over to Pujols, and the Cardinals incline. Get out of the inning. We played 8. 2, 3, and 4 in the order coming up for St. Louis. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Net was brought to you by Budweiser, delivering beer at its best with a crisp, clean, and refreshing taste known only to the king of beers. Cardinal fans here in Pittsburgh and PNC Park enjoying this one here tonight.
Smile, guys, we're winning.
It's a 6-3 game as we start play here in the 9th inning. The Pirates have gone 5-6 now against St. Louis this year. Lost the last 3 after winning 5 of the first 8 meetings. Bucks were 3-14 against the Cardinals last year, and 1-6 here at PNC Park. There's J.D. Drew. Sauerbeck is the new pitcher, lefty. One of the top left-handers in the game, appearing for the 58th time, so he'll deal with Drew, Edmonds, and then Pujols. Good pitch there. 1 ball, 1 strike. J.D. tonight an RBI. 2 hits. In the hole here with a ball and 2 strikes.
Cardinals double figures again and hits at 10. 6 more runs. 25 runs to this point in the first 3 games is 4-game series.
Foul ball. Luther Hackman against Chris Benson tomorrow night. Benson is 4-6. Luther 3-3. And over the weekend we'll have Finley, Simon Tachi, and Matt Morris for the Cardinals. Chuck Finley will go against Randy Wolf, who's 7-7. That game will be on Fox Sports Net. And the Saturday game will be the Fox Saturday game of the week with Simon Tachi and David Coggin. Simon Tachi 8-4 after a win here the other night. And then Sunday, pair of all-stars, Matt Morris and Vicente Padilla, who's 12-7.
Hopefully we'll be going into Philadelphia on Friday night with a 500 road record. Currently we're 200. We won the first 2 games of this road trip.
Pretty good at bat here by J.D. Drew. It's 2-2. Isringhausen is up and throwing in the Cardinal bullpen.
Still a save situation unless the Cardinals score in this inning.
Picked up number 27 last night. Sauerbeck can be very tough on left-handers. Leads the club in appearances now with 58. Second among National League lefties in that department, behind Remlinger of Atlanta. Now they're tied. Remlinger just went on the DL.
Yeah, so there's 3 innings, 5 runs, 7 hits, 18 batters. Since then, just 1 run on 3 hits, 20 batters coming to the plate. So good thing we got the early explosion.
Edmonds a ground ball. Kevin Young charging. He's got it. 2 outs.
Edmonds hitless tonight.
0 for 5, and not many times you will say that about Edmonds. Is Pujols. He wants to go grab a new bat, looks like. Kevin Young, Craig Wilson, and Pokey Reese for the Pirates coming up in the bottom of the 9th. Albert's got a new piece of lumber, and we're set to go. Cardinals got 3 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd, another in the 6th, and lead it 6-3. Sauerbeck to Pujols. Scott Rowland on deck. Cardinals with 10 hits here tonight, 18 hits last night, 16 hits on Monday. been our instructional night here on Fox Sports Net, hearing from Tina Martinez and the catcher Mike Matheny. Next inning, we're going to hear from Fernando Vina, talk about turning the double play, and none better than Vina turning two. Big looping breaking ball misses.
Hopefully Fernando won't get an opportunity in the ninth inning to turn double play, as we have a 1-2-3 uneventful night and ninth inning tonight.
Here's a 3-1 full count. Pujols is sitting on 26 home runs. He's a base hit here tonight. He struck out, flied out, and hit into a double play. 1 for 4 on the night. The 3-2. Albert drills it into center field. Way back, it is gone. A home run for Pujols.
Boy, look at Heisdu trying to join his high school gymnastics team.
Pujols with his 27th home run, RBI number 91.
Leads all visiting players with home runs here at PNC Park. Here's the gymnastics. Or was that trying to join the Marine Corps?
Number 27 for Pujols, and brings in Scott Rowland.
A little overkill, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Eduardo Perez has moved to the on-deck circle. He had no chance of catching that baseball.
No.
But it looked good, Al.
Ah, yeah. Did we do false hustle?
No, we did not. 2 balls and a strike. That ball was crushed by Albert Pujols. Pujols is now 2 behind Pat Burrell of Philadelphia, who is 29. Giles with 30. Berkman has 31 home runs. Vladimir Guerrero with 32. Bonds 33. Sean Green with 34, and the league leader in both leagues, Sammy Sosa of the Cubs, with 40. Rolling into deep right field. That's going to stay in the ballpark, though, and the Cardinals add an insurance run. They make it a 7-3 Cardinal lead, thanks to Albert Pujols, at number 27 on the season. Welcome back to our instructional night here on Fox Sports Net at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. We'll wrap it up with Fernando Vina. 10 errors on the season, but he's turned 72 double plays. Many feel he's the best in the game at doing so.
Hi kids, my name is Fernando Vina, and I'm going to show you some tips of how to turn a double play. The key is, for me, I start with this left foot on there, and as I see the ball coming towards me, I read where the ball is at, obviously. I want to take my right foot to where the ball is going to be coming. I mean, that puts me in position to throw the ball and turn the double play. Repetition after repetition makes you become a better second baseman. That's a wrap.
Fernando Vina, one of the best at turning the double play. George Kissel, along with Jose Oquendo, saying they've never seen anybody better at the transition of the ball in the glove and getting it to the throwing hand and turning that double play.
And that's a wrap. Probably learned that from Nelly. It was in Nelly's new video. And he can't dance it.
Is that right?
So I've been told.
Here's Izzy, Al.
Here's Izzy, and not a safe situation, but it closes out a ball game with an efficient ninth inning here. He picked up number 27 last night.
You a Nelly fan, by the way?
Yeah, I like Nelly, but I mean, I'm just, I don't think I've seen the video. But I was told by my good friend Fredberg that Fernando doesn't dance. He said he was a little nervous. He didn't know what he was supposed to do.
He went around. It's 1-2. Isringhausen had save number 27 last night.
Nelly's house on the crib.
What crib shows?
I don't know what it is. Something girls were watching. No,
So the celebrities' homes.
Cribs.
Cribs, is that what it is?
I think so. I'm not quite as down as you are, Al.
Oh, yeah.
You're down with the kids today.
I met Nelly. He gave me a big hug, so he must be a good guy.
Young shoots it into right field. And there's out number 1. Edgar Renteria is part of our play of the game. Brought to you by Budweiser. And Renteria with the Budweiser play of the game early on, with a home run to the opposite field. Edgar with his 8th home run. Pair of RBIs there. He's had 3 in the game. 56 now on the season. And our Budweiser play of the game.
That was the game-winning hit. That produced the first 2 runs for the Cardinals.
All the way back in the 2nd inning. Cardinals would make it 3-0. An RBI by Drew in that inning and never looked back. Rob King and Pat Pears are standing by for the Midwest Sports Report. 2 balls and no strikes. Craig Wilson is dater.
So on this date, August 14, 1960, Pirates beat the Cardinals in a doubleheader. Don Hope did something, but it came off the scoreboard. People always think of City Slickers. Who played third base in 1960? Everybody said Don Hope. Right?
You're full of information tonight. It's instructional night, Al.
Got to instruct the people about the history of this great game.
If you didn't have the Jumbotron, you wouldn't know about much of this great history between these 2 teams.
Absolutely.
Here's the 2-2 from Isringhausen. A long way to go for J.D. Drew. That ball is slicing and out of play. Cardinals up 7-3. Atlanta beats San Francisco 1-0. San Diego over the Mets 6-2. Philadelphia beat Milwaukee 4-1. Houston over Chicago 4-3. Florida over Colorado 1-0. And it's 4-2 Arizona, and the 6th over Cincinnati. 96 there from Izzy.
Greg Wilson got was a little interesting in the 7th inning with a 2-run home run. Andy Bennett started this game, and he's in line for the victory after another strong performance. 2-2, fastball away, didn't want it. Wants his slider or his cutter.
Off of Isringhausen, knocked it down. Let's hope he's all right. High throw out at first. Let's hope Izzy is all right.
Brad Henderson, Tony La Russa coming out a little bit. You wonder by that high throw whether it hit him in the hand. He's saying it hit him off the right side around the midsection. But the high throw kind of got everybody worried about did it hit him in his bare hand. He's saying he's fine. He glanced off the forearm and into the midsection, but sort of a glancing blow. He tosses.
Saw a play with Mike Lincoln last night where he protected himself.
Albert does just come down on time for the get the out.
Izzy said he's fine, and here we go.
Warm-up toss was 96, I guess so. Reese has not been retired. There's Brad Henderson. Hard working Brad Henderson.
2 outs now here in the 9th. Midwest Sports Report is coming up. Pokey Reese, the final at bat, possibly here tonight.
1 for 1 with a pair of walks. Brad Henderson's such a hard worker, it makes you think he works hard enough for 2 people.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Two outs, nobody on. Here comes the 1-1 from Isringhausen. Up the middle. And there's Edmonds. Cardinals win it. 65 wins on the year. For Bud Sports crew and Al Raboski, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Thanks for being with us. Cards and Pirates tomorrow on WB11. But now we throw it to the Midwest Sports Report.